In this video, I'll be breaking down Metallica's Enter Sandman. What makes this track the most popular song ever recorded? I'll be covering the song's history, music theory, and even emotional themes. Grab a front row seat and let's take a look at this incredible work of art. Learn music theory and songwriting with my 1,000 post Patreon library below. You get tabs, Discord access, live Shred School classes, and much more. Enter Sandman was released on the Black Album back in 1991, and I remember when this came out, it absolutely blew my mind. The sound was incredibly visceral and heavy, and I would listen to it over and over again, like 69 times. The lyrics explore the dark side of Western folklore's Sandman mythology. This was a character who terrorizes children with nightmares. What a great thing to write a song about. Now, the Black Album would become Metallica's best-selling album to date, with 31 million sales. As of the recording of this video, Enter Sandman has 1.4 billion with a B plays on Spotify.
Billions and billions and billions and billions and
billions and billions and hang tight, because in the next segment I'm going to be breaking down the music theory behind this epic track. Enter Sandman is in the key of E minor. So what the hell does that mean? Well, here is the key of E minor, and as you can see, there's one sharp that we have right there, and that sharp is F sharp. Of course, F stands for fudge, tastes good. So if we look at the circle of fifths, you can see all of the musical keys represented. And don't get overwhelmed by this. The only thing we're really interested in here is the key of E minor, which I don't know why I was circling E. I got confused between E major, which is this one, and then E minor over here. So the major keys are on the outside of the circle, and the inner circle where the cool kids hang out is the minor keys. So E minor and G major are relative to one another. They share the same notes. Now, all this is meaningless until you get an actual feel for it. Get my scale Bible for free with the link below. You also get free Discord access where you can make friends and talk metal music. So what I'm going to do is cue up a drone. And a drone is just a repeated or sustained pitch. This helps us absorb the mood, the vibe of the key of E minor. So check this out. Here's the notes in the key of E minor, and you can see I have E Aeolian here, which is just an interchangeable term with minor. So as you have the drone going, try playing your scale and try playing each note nice and slow and absorb the emotional content of each pitch. Let it sink into your soul and transform your internal state. Each one of those notes has its own push and pull and tension and release. It's obviously a sad sounding scale, right? Which we prefer as metalheads. That flat 6th degree is really nice. 7th degree leading back to the 1. Now, Enter Sandman in particular uses the E blues scale. So even though it's under the overarching key of E minor, there's a little bit more nuance that we need to investigate. So here is the E blues scale. There's 6 notes in this scale. If you're familiar with the pentatonic scale, we're just adding one extra note. And that note is a very important note. It's the devil's note. And I'll explain that in a minute. So here's the blues scale, right? 12, 15, 12. There it is, Diabolos in Musica, the devil's note. The 5th, the 6th, back to the root. So that scale is really our meat and potatoes for the Enter Sandman vocabulary. If you're interested in writing your own music, join my Patreon community below. I'm starting my Riff Lore Challenge in November. But here's the thing, I'm only accepting 50 students, so you gotta hurry and sign up. Now, I want to talk about the structure and the template that Enter Sandman uses. It's a theme and variations format, and this is really, really powerful. You can think of Pachelbel's Canon in D, the classical piece, as being a good example of this compositional structure. And a lot of songs use this. And, you know, one thing that I hear oftentimes when I'm talking to composition students is, okay, Shred, I've got a great riff, but now what? What's the next step? Where do I take this thing? And this track, Enter Sandman, has all of the answers to your questions. There's 5 levels to the Enter Sandman riff. It starts with that quiet blues lick, as we're about to learn more about, and then it grows gradually, step by step, into this massive explosion of intensity. There's a real crescendo dynamic at play, and if you're ever thinking about, you know, what's the best way to write your own music, consider this template where you start kind of down here and then you gradually grow and build until the song reaches a feverish pitch. We're going to see this play out in the first minute and a half or so of Enter Sandman. There's different instruments that enter, right? It just starts with that electric guitar riff, and then Lars enters the scene along with Jason Newsted on bass. And there's a very strong pedal tone structure, and that's that recurring pitch that we discussed earlier. And I want to really emphasize that because that's the number one tool that you have as a composer to get an idea going. Always, always, always use pedal tones to initiate your creative flow. Now let's get into the song itself. I'm going to play the first part of it. Check it out. And this is the music video. What a classic. Now here is riff 1. This is the first thing that we hear, and it continues throughout the introduction as a foundation, a structure to build upon. It almost like induces a hypnotic state. And the way I play it is maybe a little different than you've seen in other tabs, but this just makes it so the notes sustain. So I'm playing the G string open. Of course, that's our favorite string to finger. And that seed right there is something we're going to grow and grow and grow until it reaches just an insane level of intensity. I want to point out that right there is the devil's interval, the flat 5 degree. So, I mean, it really sets this sinister tone, right? And then there's a resolution that happens when you get to that 5th fret. Now, once Hetfield reps that lick for a couple of laps, something happens. We have an instrumental entrance. Actually, there's 2 instrumental entrances. We have Lars on drums and Jason on bass. Let's listen to that. Okay, so we just went from level 1 there to an additional level of intensity. We're gradually building. That's that crescendo dynamic I referenced earlier. Something is about to happen next. We're going to get an electric surge of energy from a distorted guitar entrance. Listening to this song is like watching a good movie. There's constant plot points happening, action, is around every corner. When you write a song, you don't want people to be bored, and you don't want to just say the same thing over and over again. Whenever a loop comes back around, try to add an additional element to increase the interest. So let's see what's about to happen next here. Whoa. So check it out. Here we go, riff 2. This is our first distorted electric guitar entrance here. And it's just a bunch of pedal tones. And again, a pedal tone is just a repeated pitch that serves as a reference to the root. It's a strong foundation to build upon it. It gives your music context. Don't skip the pedal tones. Like, if you're just constantly changing notes, people don't have a sense of grounding. So it's just the open E string here. With that little slide leading in, that's the same note, right? E and E. So we're really going out of our way here to emphasize that E is the tonal universe of this song. You know, Bob Rock and James Hetfield and the boys, when they're in that North Hollywood studio writing and recording this music, really understood the engine of a song, what drives it forward. It's that pedal tone. Now let's see what happens next. Let's just back it up a little bit. So that's riff 2. Okay, there is another riff. Riff 3. There's so much going on in this song, and it's constantly moving the story forward. We're always getting an additional element of interest to pay attention to. Basically, what this song does is work backwards from the main theme. So we all know the main theme, and we're going to get to that in a second. But each riff that's occurring is getting a little bit closer to that main theme. And you can see in this next variation, we've got a little bit more of the sketch filled out, right? This part here. And we've got that octave that we played before, but now we have the introduction of the devil's note, that flat 5. And also the flat 2, which makes things evil as fuck. And to be quite honest, you could really classify this particular phrase as being in the Locrian mode, which is the most evil of all scales. Check this out, right? Here's the E Locrian mode. And I want to just play this for you real quick to get the vibe. And it's got a very diabolical sound. Very unrestful. Just let that soak in. Flat second, minor third. The fourth, Diabolos in Musica, flat 6, flat 7, back to the root. So that's the underlying harmonic framework that's going on at this stage in Enter Sandman, and it's wicked as fuck. Now let's move on to riff 4, see what the boys have for us. There it is. Now, did you catch that? There's just one extra note added in this level. So we were just in riff 3 right here, and that's how that riff looks. But look at this down here. Here's riff 4, and you can see that this is the only difference. That one note. So this idea of just slowly adding notes, building the tension, escalating. It doesn't take much, you know. It's kind of the less is more strategy. Sorry, Yngwie Malmsteen. This doesn't really apply. Your theory doesn't apply here. But it's an incredibly effective way to increase the the intensity of the music. And we're getting close to unveiling the main theme. But yeah, like I said, we just add that one extra pitch. So that resolution, root, flat 5, the regular 4th degree, and then again, that ominous flat 2nd. It's time for the big reveal. We've gone through 4 levels of this riff, and next we're going to achieve enlightenment with level 5. Just a level 666 surge of metal power. This is the point of maximum intensity that we've now reached, and everything's turned up to 11. We got all the power chords going on, the drums, the bass, everything is just maxed out. Now here it is, the full Enter Sandman riff, the main theme. This, I mean, I don't think there's any other metal song that has this level of familiarity. You know, every metalhead knows this main riff here. The riff begins with what we've heard before. However, you can see that we're adding in the full E minor power chord there. Before we were just chugging on the open low E. So you can already hear a difference there. You know, that's definitely heavier than that. Okay, what else is new here? Of course, there's the tag that comes in at the end with these really cool power chords. That creates a perfect loop to kind of turn things back around and set us up for another repetition of the riff. Now in the next segment, I'm going to record an original song based on the ideas in Enter Sandman so we can apply each one of these concepts.